Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Issei was rogue godlike being. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Issei Hyoudou was having a bad day. No scratch that he was having one of the worst days of his life. It started a few hours ago, or was it days? Damn it, he didn't even know anymore. He was being his normal self, lazing around trying not to think the new school year, but all good things had to come to an end, because then he noticed it was quiet, maybe a little too quiet, flooding the house with him aura. He discovered his companion was not at home. He tried to ignore the nagging feeling telling him to look for his freeloader. She's a big girl, she can take care of herself, right? Finally his paranoia won and he made his way downstairs to the living room, then the kitchen. That's where something caught his attention. It was a bright yellow note stuck on the fridge, and in not-so-elegant penmanship a few words were scribbled. "I want apples." The brunette sighed. Although it sounded like a command, this was being nice for her, and unfortunately he was in no position to refuse. The young man pulled his hair in exasperation. He scribbled some words on a piece of paper, then stuck it on the fridge. As Issei opened a portal, he couldn't help but feel that something bad was going to happen, but with his luck he won't be surprised if he came back to not meet his house standing. Shaking the negative thoughts out of his head, he stepped into the portal. A few hours later. How long have I been walking? Issei asked himself. While there were spots on Earth which grew the dragon apples, they almost always had dragons sticking close, and a confrontation with a dragon was not on his to-do list, but where they grew in the underworld didn't usually get much dragons. Probably because they didn't like the underworld. This gave Issei the perfect spot to get them with little or no trouble. But the problem was getting there. The area where the apples grew was surrounded by a thick forest, plus a mountain range, and the apple grew within one of the secluded valleys. Due to the landscape, a lot of rogue devils roamed the area, and Issei, being the nice guy he was, did his best to avoid fighting anyone. He mentally cussed the area for not being able to be marked, therefore no teleportation. For now he'd been wandering the forest. He knew he would eventually get there, but navigation was hard. Suddenly he felt something pulling him. A strong, almost irresistible force held him, almost choking the breath out of him. It forced him to his knees, barely breathing now and desperate to get out of whatever he had walked into. He focused, then, "Shatter," he said in a low, dark voice. Instantly he was released from the death grip. The air flooded his lungs and he couldn't be more appreciative, but that was short-lived because he felt a presence behind him. By the time he turned around, the figure brought its arm down, striking his shoulder with enough force to knock him out. The black spots appeared in his vision before his consciousness faded. Issei groaned as he regained consciousness. First thing he noticed was that he was in a cell with several people, about 9 other people, some of them awake. The girl beside him seemed to be trying to pick the shackles that bound her, but from her face he could tell she wasn't going far. "Oh look, another one's up," said the guy that was watching or drooling over the girl. All eyes immediately went to him. He felt like a piece of meat on exhibition. "So where are we?" he asked. It took a while, but the girl answered, "Don't know, I was minding my own business when I felt something pulling me, then I blacked out." The girl really seemed frustrated by the shackles. Looking at his, he merely sighed. How could he have to pray to such a lame trap? "Well, it looks like most of you are up," a tall man with blonde hair and with his face twisted in a malicious smile said from outside the cramped cell. "Who are you, pretty boy?" some dude asked. "Quiet, scumbag. A mere criminal doesn't have deserve to talk to someone such as myself," said the arrogant D-dash. "Whatever, blondie, I might be a criminal, but what does that make you, huh? Kidnapping criminal and strays." At that moment Issei's mind went blank. Criminals and strays? For the first time since he woke up he took a look around. Sure enough, most people in the cell looked rather rough, like they had been living on the streets for a long while. Only himself and the black-haired girl beside him looked more presentable, him attire merely covered in dust, probably from when he hit the ground, the girl's kimono having a rip on the bottom. He didn't realize that the one who had now been dubbed Pretty Boy had opened the cell until he felt the same tug on his neck. So he was the one who casted the irritating spell. Issei felt the overwhelming desire to rip of the blonde's head off, but he bid his time. The prisoners were led from the underground cell to a very elegant room, with a single boy who looked at most 17 at the end of the table. "Master, I have brought them." The master put down his fork. "Good work, Shane." The master regarded them over the rim of his cup. So these are the best you could find? Yes, master. Out of the 57 we gathered, these 10 had the strongest magical energies. Oh, and from my angle they all seem weak, maybe about 3 ripe ones, he sighed. Oh well, princes can't be choosers. Alright Shane, the rating game is in 3 hours, make sure they're ready, I want to crush that Gremory's pretty face. The master clenched his fist. Of course master, leave everything to me. A magical circle appeared below them, and they were gone. The next room was not as elegant as the last. This one was a square-shaped room with tiny windows, but at least it wasn't a Spartan cell. All right, scumbags, sit. On his body's accord his legs gave out. In 3 hours Master Aazelle has a raiding game against the heiress of the Gremory clan. It is of utmost importance that he wins. Know this, you are all pawns to my master. With my magic I control you. As my mater does not have a peerage of his own, this was the next best thing. You creatures should not even gaze upon my master. Your presence taints the purity of my master. He sighed momentarily, stopping his rant. But no worries, after the game today you will all be history. After all, my master has a reputation to keep. Laughing like a madman, a magic circle appeared beneath him, teleporting him to God knows where. Once Shane left, the force around his neck seemed to loosen up a bit. Then the chaos ensued. Some of them began pounding the walls of the little room, even going as far as using magic. But it was all futile. Issei meanwhile had other plans. On one hand, the prospect of being in a raiding game was appealing. On the other, he was going to be controlled. Hell no, once it started he was going to do whatever he wanted. Beside him the girl from before had a forlorn look on her face. No more trying to break the shackles. Slowly he inched towards her. You all right? It took a while, but she answered, no. Afraid of death? Not really, Naya. Naya? He asked himself. You're a Nikomata? You got a problem with that? She asked, narrowing her eyes at him. No, it's just that you hid yourself well. I didn't even notice. You must be pretty good at senjutsu. Issei formed his words clumsily. She giggled lightly. Trying to woo a girl you just met? You sure work fast. Air dash. Hi Issei, nice to meet you. Kuroka, nice to meet you. Her eyes sparkled mischievously. You know what I am, but I don't know what you are. You obviously aren't a devil. And you seem to be hiding your aura, but you can't hide your ki from me, and it feels very potent. Naya? Issei scratched the back of his neck. Well, I really don't know what I am, but if I was to tell you what people think I am, I'd have to kill you. Strangely, that did not faze her. Oh, mysterious, I like it. Naya, she purred. When we get out of her, do you want to make babies? Issei's head went into overdrive. Make babies. The pictures that were running through his head made his face go red. Fufufu. I knew I was irresistible. Score. Something poked his cheek. Issei-chin is a pervert, she teased. Her face morphed into one of sadness again. But we aren't going to make it out alive. That man's magic seems to be able to take almost complete control of its victims. We might need to either kill him or wait until he stops the spell. Don't worry about that, Kuroka-chan. Stick with me and we'll be fine, he reassured her. But first, I need a nap, and he promptly laid his head on her laps and let sleep take hold. Some hours later, the peerage of Aazelle Boer assembled in the space created by the raiding game, a standard forest arena. Issei meanwhile felt like he needed more sleep. All right, scumbags, go, ordered Shane. His legs began moving on their own. Quickly he grabbed Kuroka and the two of them dashed into the forest. After what seemed like forever they finally stopped. Well, that wasn't nice, Naya. Issei had to agree with his companion. So what's your plan for getting out of here? He grinned, then held her close, their foreheads touching. Kuroka teased people, but she was not used to being on the receiving end. The feeling of their bodies were pressed firmly together, their faces so painfully close, she couldn't stop the red color that dusted her cheeks. Shatter. His voice came out low. The pressure which was once there faded. They finally regained control of their bodies. The Nikomata twirled, delighted that she could move freely again. Issei is really strong. Well, I better get going. I need to escape before a lot of people retire. I thought you have to wait until the game ends. She shook her head. No. She went up to him and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Let's meet again, Issei-chin. Naya. I surrender, she said. Then the blue light enveloped her. Then she wasn't there anymore. The brunette whistled. So that's how it's done. He would do that, but first he wanted to explore. Not long after he began his exploration, someone stopped him in his tracks. "Will you give up now, or do we do it the hard way?" There was no pride in his voice, he seemed to be asking a question. "Do you think we could talk this out? I really don't want to fight," he replied with a weak smile. However, his opponent didn't seem to share his view as he unsheathed his blade. "At least I tried. I am Yuto Kiba, a knight in the service of Rius Gremory." "I am unimportant," Issei replied. "Very well." Kiba charged him. Using the speed of the knight to his advantage, he was going in for an instant kill, a shot to the neck. He was not pleased when his opponent easily dodged it. So far all the people he had taken care of today had gone down after one hit, which was quite disappointing. At least this person did not go down in one hit. Bringing his blade horizontally, he tried again, but his opponent's speed matched his own. Maybe he too was a knight, he thought. No matter, he would not let down his master. Issei, on the other hand, was having fun, although not intentionally. Playing with the swordsman was a change from the life and death fights he usually partook in. He had not attacked yet, merely evaded, and he could tell his opponent was getting frustrated. "You're good," Issei commented. "I could say the same thing about you. You aren't just a common stray, are you?" "You think I'm a stray?" "We were told to deal with all of you swiftly as you were all strays so that they could skip to trials." "That's harsh, Kiba-san. I'm not a stray. I'm just a guy who's running some errands for a friend, and if I don't get back soon, Lily's gonna kill me." "I apologize then. I was trying to take you out with minimal damage, but now I see no need for that." Another sword materialized in Kiba's other hand. With increased speed, he charged his opponent. Issei watched as Kiba approached him. When he was near enough, he jumped to evade. As expected, the knight was surprised, but he quickly recovered, changing his course as he pursed Issei again. At high speed they attacked each other. Issei, using only his fists, he got a solid hit on the knight, bruising his face. Kiba was shocked. He scowled a little. One did not simply punch a knight. His opponent was obviously a knight, but he had yet to pull his blade. "Calm down," he told himself, but he couldn't remain calm because magic circles formed around him, red beams shooting from them. If he wasn't a knight, he would most likely have not escaped. However, he only walked into another trap as a circle glowed beneath him. His weapons shattered, that he did not like. "Not bad, Kiba-san." That only served to PSS Kiba of the more sword birth. About 8 swords shot out of the ground. "Wow, so you have a sacred gear. I know someone who could help you train." Not interested, Kiba charged his opponent again. This time, however, a small crimson energy orb was tossed towards him. As he readied to strike, it exploded, flinging him away and shattering his blades. It all happened so fast. Kiba was still in the air and suddenly his opponent was there. His arms were covered in glowing crimson rune marks. His attacker's fist collided with his gut and drove him into the ground. The immense pain coursed through his body and the black spot filled his vision. He tried to talk, but only blood came out. "You aren't dead?" Issei asked. "Impressive. I wonder if I should finish you off." Luckily for Kiba, his body glowed before disappearing. Knight of Rius Gremory retired. Issei calmed down as Kiba disappeared. Anymore, and he might have actually killed him. He shook his head to get a grip. "Not bad. I might ask Azazel to build something like this for me," he mumbled. It seemed like a good was to keep him control in check. "I surrender." He glowed blue, then vanished. When Issei next opened his eyes, he awoke in what he assumed was a medical ward. Was because it seemed like someone tore through it. He wondered if Kuroka was behind it, because she seemed absent and the other strays were passed out or groaning in pain. He made his way out of the building without meeting resistance. Now he only had apples to pick and a kid to get back to, and he was probably going to need to do some shopping. His wallet hadn't felt heavy in a while, and it seemed it wasn't going to anytime soon. Hyoudou residence. Issei finally arrived home. Carefully he put down the bags of food beside the door. "I'm Ho-dash." Just as predicted, a large energy snake lunged towards him. A shield materialized before him, but the snake broke through, ramming into him and throwing him beyond the gates. He landed with a thud after skidding on the street. Oddly enough, the young man smiled. Dusting himself, he dragged his sore body towards the house and picked up 2 bags before re-entering his home to find a very set-off looking, or at least what he had come to know as set-of-looking dragon god, Ophis. She stared at him then. "I'm hungry." "Of course, I know, sorry for being late, I ran into some trouble." "Why didn't you call me?" she asked. "I could take care of it myself. Besides, I wanted to see what a raiding game felt like." She nodded before turning her head back to her game. Issei gave a nervous smile. Making his way to the kitchen, he started to put the items in the fridge, until Ophis came in. Ophis! The dragon god didn't say anything, merely wrapping her arm around him. Baki, she muttered. Issei sighed. It's alright, I'm still here, aren't I? He said to reassure her. Alright, I'll make something big just for you, she gave her best smile impression. Issei smelt something. Strawberries. Ophis, you took your bath today? Yes, she replied. Well, that's one less thing to worry about, he said, clearly impressed. Then he remembered something important. Ophis, did you wear underwear? She stared at him for a few seconds. She looked down, then lifted up her skirt. Demon it, Ophis? Issei yelled. Clearly the dragon god still had a lot of things to learn. Somewhere in the Gremory estate, a very confused Rius watched the battle between Kiba and the strange boy. Kiba was by no means weak, but fighting he was by far outclassed. Kiba also said that the energy the boy emitted was strong. She had been watching this video over and over again, but it was already too late when she realized she wanted the boy in the video. She had the feeling that he would make a suitable addition to her peerage, and when Rius had the feeling she was always right, her peerage was a testament to that. Someone came into her room. She didn't need to look, she knew it was Sona. You're watching the video again? Yes, I'm trying to find out which clan he could possibly be from. Don't bother with him, Rius, he's going to join my peerage soon enough, said her childhood friend. Oh really? Yes, Sona said with a smile, but I find it irritating that we aren't the only ones who noticed him. We aren't. I heard a rumor that Sarawag has taken interest in him, and also my sister. At this Rius rose an eyebrow. Your sister? Yes, apparently she sees potential in him. I guess I have to step up my game. Sona nodded in agreement. She turned to leave. Well, I wish you good luck. You too, said Rius as her friend left her. Issei was said, not really sad but extremely unhappy. Today he had heard that the ORC and the student council were to return. According to the school authorities, the ORC and the SC were on a trip working together as representatives of the school in Kyoto. He wanted to burst out laughing when he heard that mortals could be so gullible at times. Uncharacteristically, a lot of students arrived way before the first PRD today, milling around the school waiting for the two student orgs to arrive. Kaya, a shrill scream made the lollipop fall out of the brunette mouth. They're back. Students crowded the windows and the hallways as the club and SC made it through, boys and girls pulling and pushing, hoping to get the attention of at least of the girls, for most preferably the crimson-haired beauty, Rius Gremory, or the epitome of Japanese beauty that was Akino Himejima, or as they were called, two great one-samus of Kuo Academy, with the other members having their own shares of deluded affection. As silent as ever, Issei did a quick overview of their power levels, all of them quiet, decent for their ages. There was no way he would be ignored after his little display during the raiding game, so he began to think about a plan, and his meeting with Azazel a few days earlier. Azazel? Issei-kun, you're late. I believe school was out about half an hour ago, he said, checking his watch. Issei rubbed his neck sheepishly. Well, you see, there was this girl and— Wait, no, that's not the point. He slammed his fist into Azazel's desk. You knew, didn't you? What exactly? I know a lot of things. Don't play dumb. You knew. You sent me into a devil hive. I told you I don't want contact with the supernatural. Listen, Don't, Issei-kun, me damn it. Yes, Issei was mad. This time Azazel glared back. The boy wasn't making things easier for him. He sighed and massaged the sides of his head. The auras of the two clashed violently. Fine, I did it on purpose, but I had a perfectly good reason to do so. And that would be? You might want to sit down for this. Issei narrowed his eyes but complied. The fallen angel governor shuffled through some things in his drawer, bringing out 2 manila envelopes. He handed them over to his companion. Issei flipped through the first envelope. It held the name Jun Alakar Noboru. He was a student of Kuo, much like him, raising an eyebrow at the governor, but he was simply beckoned to go on. He mumbled to himself as he read it. The first few pages are background info on him. His ties to the supernatural world come at the 4th page. Issei nodded in approval. He skimmed through the lines. What mostly caught his attention were Pawn of Gremory, but that wasn't enough when he saw the words Security. You're kidding, right? Keep reading, there's more. And he did. No way, he said, but it was there staring back at him, a locker clan of devils. I'm afraid that is the truth, Ethan. But dash. I know, it's not meant to be possible, but this generation's Longinus gear wielders are out of the norm. Are you talking about Vali Lucifer too? Yes, although we have no solid proof, it is safe to say that he too is a half-devil. Issei sank back into his chair. The world seemed to be moving a little faster than he remembered. What's with that look? I still got more right here, Azazel said, his eyes sparkling with mischief as he handed Issei another file. This one read Saji Gentru. He opened it and proceeded to the info he needed. Vitra, really? Who's next, Tiamat? No one. For now those are the only dragon wielders in the school, but they have some other pretty good sacred gears running around, the governor said in a sing-song voice. And those will be? Asked the brunette, giving Azazel a strange look. Really, you don't want to find out for yourself? Issei glared at the man. Fine, he conceded. There are 2 peerages in the school, Gremory and Citri. Rius Gremory is the name of the Gremory heiress. She's tough, and has a way of getting some quality individuals. As you know, she has the current Issei Hyoudou, a sword birth user, the forbidden Baylor View, Twilight Healing, a Nekashu, a temp devil who is actually a half-sister of the Issei Hyoudou. The general had a thoughtful look on his face for a while, and of course her queen, the priestess of lightning. Issei rose an eyebrow at the odd name. The governor shrugged. Well, you really aren't one to talk Kuramuzan Hakainata. Issei gave him a blank stare. He really hated that name. You know what, I'll just go through it all myself, but you still haven't told me why you sent me there. The governor smirked. Well, you see, I really can't send any of my own there because it's strictly devil territory, but we both know how Cow's brigade works. They don't care for such menial things as territory. If they want to kill or recruit him, they'll do it. There was a strange atmosphere of seriousness in the room, one that wasn't usually there when the 2 friends met, and for Issei, it meant that Azazel had concluded he was on the best route. And I believe having both heavenly dragons on the enemy's side is not something even you want to deal with, he concluded. Fine, so what do you want? I've known you long enough to know that you want something from all this. Azazel grinned, all form of seriousness wiped from his face. Well, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to further my research. I was hoping you'd be able to give me info to compare my artificial sacred gear with the real thing, he said, bringing Fanfnir out. We had some fun some days ago, so right now he lazy dragon is asleep. Says the lazy owner. I work hard, I run Gregory, this place gives me gray hair, he said, rolling his locks between his fingers. The young man scoffed. You've got people doing all the work for you. I liked it better when you used to pull your feathers running this place. And what do you do? Take care of the Ouroboros dragon. Taking care of Ophis is a skill which requires time, patience, and precision. It's a lot harder than it looks. Besides, we both know it's more than that. Whatever, yawned the fallen angel. Didn't you, stupid crow? And their senseless banter continued, at least until a knock came from the door. Enter. Baraquil, Azazel greeted. Azazel, he returned, Issei-san. Nice to see you, Baraquil-san. Anything important, my friend? Asked the general. No, it's just that you haven't come out of your office in a while, and some of the staff said that they felt some killing intent from here, so I was worried, but I see you were busy. Azazel dismissed it with a wave. We were just taking care of some issues. It's mostly resolved now. Well then, I will take my leave now. I have some issue to attend dash. The man stopped and stared at Issei. That uniform. Oh, it's Kuo Academy's uniform. I'll be attending school there while on rehab. Oh, Azazel rubbed his beard in understanding. I believe I neglected to mention that the current queen of Rius Gremory is also Braquil's daughter. That caused the brunette to gawk at the man. Your daughter? What? The bigger man asked. Well, it just, you see, it's nothing, Issei mumbled, trying to wrap his head around the fact. She might be my daughter, but I have no right to be her father. I haven't even talked to her in years. He gave a dry laugh. Besides, I'm sure she would hate me. He stared blankly at the wall, then he got a gleam in his eyes. You are going to Kuo, right? Yeah, Issei didn't like where this was heading. The big man got down on his knees. Please, would you look after my daughter for me? I beg you, Issei, would you protect my baby girl if she is in need? Baraquil, No need for that, Azazel cut in. I'm sure I would be more than happy to, won't you, An? The look in Baraquil's eye is what broke Issei. He'd seen that look too many times, hope, and he couldn't bring himself to break. He breathed to calm himself down. Fine, I'll do my best. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. It's no problem at all, Baraquil-san. The man thanked Issei all the way to the door before he finally left. Looks like you got more on your plate, my friend. I couldn't turn him down, said his voice going to a whisper. I just couldn't. We've been so wrapped up in my ulterior motives we almost forgot why we sent you to the academy in the first place. So how was the first day? It was alright, the students seem nice. The school has empty spaces. I cowl. That's not what I meant, Azazel cut him off. Fine, I made some acquaintances. They're perverts through and through, but they're simple. They only want hot girls in their life. Such a simple-minded goal. Alright, I'll be stopping by every now and then to check up on you. I've said this, but I am fine. I don't need help anymore. Perhaps, but I'm doing this because the Ouroboros dragon said so. I can't refuse even if I wanted to. He folded his arms. Besides, for someone such as yourself, androphobia is something we absolutely cannot allow. I told you I'm fine. And I want to believe you, so just spend 2 years at Kuo, and you're off the hook. Really? Fine, 2 years. It is. Oh, and by the way, you better get going, your dragon god companion might get cranky. The brunette blinked then. Oh sheet, he piled up the files in his arms. See you, Azazel. You too, Azazel. And he was gone. Azazel relaxed in his chair. Things were going to get interesting soon. He could feel it in his bones, and somehow he felt that he might have just skipped some steps. He grinned. Well, there was no point waiting in the first place, but he'd enjoy the calm while it lasted. Flashback end. Back in the class. Akira-sensei was droning again, and Issei resisted the urge to end the mortal's life. He really hated math class. Not that he didn't perfectly understand everything that was been thought. No, the man was just too goddamn boring, his bass voice drawing out every single word. Then he heard the footsteps outside the class. They made their way towards the class next to Issei's. He heard the door open a while, then some scuffling before thing calmed down. The second-year devils just settled into their class. They were all in the same class, probably to build relationship between the two peerages. He was relieved, though, that he wasn't in that class. Briefly, an image of Azazel flashed in his mind. Maybe the governor might have done it, and he didn't put it above him to work even in devil territory. Hyoudou Issei, pay attention. Akira-sensei yelled from the board. Of course he had more important matters to take care of, like the pawn mag in front of him, which would look like an ordinary textbook. Just sometimes being a supernatural killing machine had its perks. Kiba Hyoudou was having by all means an ordinary day. After his defeat during his last raiding game, he had almost doubled his training effort. His king had told him he lost because he wasn't giving his 100%, but to him it was unacceptable. He might not have taken his opponent seriously, but that is no excuse for his defeat. But right now he was back to Kuo Academy, and continuing his life as a devil in the mortal world. As usual on the return of the ORC and SC, they were flocked, himself receiving his fair amount of fans, but he did what he always did, give them a smile, because they were merely humans that had no concern with the other world. They didn't need to see the other him. Classes seemed to roll by for the blonde, and then it was break. Students poured out of their classes. He himself waited for the other members of the ORC at the door of the classroom. That's when he saw him, the one he lost to, casually walking, talking with the school's famed perverted duo. It couldn't be real. He rubbed his eyes, but he was still there. Instead of disappearing, he only seemed to be getting farther away. Kiba-kun, someone called, but he only registered one thing. This was FANG real. Quickly he weaved his way through the crowd. He scanned the hallways. He didn't see him. The cafeteria, he wasn't there. The bathroom, the fields, no sign, but he saw the school's perverted duo. They should know where he went. He approached them. His enhanced hearing allowed him to pick out what Motohama said, "Pretty boy incoming." And he really wanted to chop him up. Hey, the guy that's been hanging out with you too recently, what's his name? Hyoudou Issei. Why? Not something you'll understand. I apologize for taking your time. With that he left the duo. Bucho, said the knight as he entered the club room. Hyoudou, I haven't seen you today. Where have you been? I was worried. He's here. She raised an eyebrow. Who? That person, the one I lost to in the raiding game, he here, I saw him, his name is Hyoudou Issei. Are you sure about this Hyoudou? Yes, Bucho. Positive he has been hanging around the school's perverted duo. The king grinned, and here I was wondering how he would track him down. Looks like we won't have to worry about that. But, Bucho, isn't it too convenient, him appearing here out of nowhere? Kiba said, trying to reason. Convenient, yes, but from what you told me about him, he doesn't seem like the type who'd want to run into us again. She intertwined her fingers. It will be in our best interest to let this chance slip from our fingers. She looked thoughtful for a while. I will go and try to sort some things out with Sona. Translation. I saw him first back off. So keep your eyes on him, and invite him for here a cup of tea. I would personally like to meet this Hyoudou Issei. Of course, Bucho. After school. Issei was in his classroom. It was his turn to clean the board today. Such an annoying task, he concluded. The door opened and the Knight of Gremory stepped in. The brunette paid no attention to him. Hey, he began, I believe we have met. Yes, he replied, not taking his eyes off the board. A coincidence that we would met here of all the places. You could say that. You must have realized that this school is devil-run territory, and as such I must ask you to come and see my king. Would this king be Rius Gremory? He asked, wiping his hands clean and examining his work. Yes. All right. Well, if you dash. But not today. Issei walked up to him as he cut him off. Kiba blinked. What? I'm already running late. I need to get back home to attend to my charge. She might get destructive if I don't return. But surely, you must know the procedure for intruding on claimed Terry Dash. I do, but you see, I don't really care about that. I'm not doing anything, and the fact is that it is you who came to me, some other time than Kiba-kun. With that the strange brunette left. Kiba, on the other hand, remained for a while. Sometimes the supernatural world confused him. It was people like Hyoudou Issei that caused minor, avoidable skirmishes. Looking out he saw a window. The sun cast a long shadow as it sunk in the horizon. He snapped himself out of his reverie. After all, he had to report back from his mission. A forest a few hours from Kuo. A young lady stood in a clearing. The wind blew her cloak. She was what might be considered by some a harmless damsel. The only thing that ruined the image was the big butt sword pinned into the ground in front of her. Stripping her cloak off, the wind caught her blue hair. She gripped the hilt of the massive blade. I know you're there, let's make this quick, she said, her voice devoid of emotion. A deep laugh came from the woods as a man came into the light. As expected from a former Excalibur user, the church trained you well. Some might ask, why someone placed so high on a pedestal like you would abandon the church? The girl glared at him. She pointed the blade in his direction. The man snapped his fingers, and from around her came 6 more people, 3 exorcists, 2 fallen angels, and 1 who seemed to be a mercenary. Her lips twitched in a smirk. Her opponents charged. Maybe in their ranks they might have been considered good, but for someone such as her who constantly faced conflict from all sides, they were nothing more than annoyances. The first came, swinging wildly. A quick slash dispatched him as another followed. Blades met, but Durandal shattered the inferior blade. The head of the attacker was taken of. One after the other they fell, until it was just her and the leader. He spat, and lighted another cigarette. You beach, what did we ever do to you? Why can't you just leave us the F alone? She didn't reply, but that only infuriated the leader more. Eat this, he yelled, the light spear forming in his hand. Zenovia merely jumped, poising her blade for a downward slash. The fallen angel was frozen in fear. All missions assigned to him had been taken care of by others serving under him, but right now, staring at the incoming blade, he realized he was about to be killed. Him dead? Those were his last thoughts as the blade collided with his skull. Zenovia examined her work, dematerializing her blade. She picked up her discarded cloak. These annoyances were becoming more frequent, but she had managed to elude Valper Galilei. However, the fallen angels clearly showed that he was receiving backup. Sighing, she made up her mind to go with stealth instead, and once she reached the town, she would personally gut the BSRD of an ex-archbishop. This was shameful. A high-class devil like her should not be doing something like this, yet here she was stalking this person. Hyoudou Issei had become the heiress of Gremory's most recent obsession. Frequently during school hours, his aura flares. It had become a ritual for her now, waiting for the leak of energy. It came almost every day during the early hours of the afternoon. The first time she had felt his addictive aura, her devil persona took over and she wanted the source to be hers and hers alone, well, her peerage's, but it all the same in the end. It was a little disappointing to find out that most people knew next to nothing about Rius' newfound obsession, but considering that he was part of the supernatural world, she could understand why he wanted to slip under the radar. Sona also wanted him. She has been pulling every string of the student council to dig up some info on him, and she still remembered her friend's words. A direct approach might prove detrimental because he tends to act a little sporadic. But Rius could tell from the bags under her eyes, the thoughtful look and the semi-permanent scowl on her face that she had gotten nowhere. Usually the ORC president would tease her friend about it and have some fun rubbing it in her face, but this time she was just as equally lost as Sona, because Issei Hyoudou is an enigma. His school profile didn't give anything meaningful, only the basic info of a regular person, and that itself is only half complete with no background and no academic history, which begs the question, how did he even get admission into the school? So Rius decided to take the direct approach. It didn't take long until she found him resting under a tree. Oddly enough, he is watching the girl on the field train with a lecherous smile on his face. Rius though wasn't sure about his perverted tendencies. Would they be a drawback in the long run? What's with that face, Hyoudou Issei? Issei jumped quickly to his feet when he heard the voice, feigning surprise, his eyes darting to the sides before landing on the well-endowed beauty. Well, that's not very smart, letting your guard down and allowing someone to sneak up on you, Rius mentally scolded him. He might have an overwhelming aura, but it means nothing if he couldn't control it. But from his fight against Hyoudou, I know that's not the case, she thought, coming back in a full circle. Issei regained his composure. Gremory-senpai. Hyoudou Issei. I've been meaning to meet you, but you seem to elude us at every turn. Ha, Gomen-senpai, he said while rubbing his neck awkwardly. If there was one thing they did know though was that Hyoudou Issei was a little bit bipolar. Sometimes he was nice and all smiles and other times he was indifferent and rather apathetic. Rius guessed this was him being nice, but in that moment she realized how different talking to him is. Rather than spying or stalking, he had a calming presence, and she had to resist her urges to hug him. Yes, he looked very huggable. The crimson-haired beauty grinned at him, and the boy smiled back, though they were thinking two very different things. Fufufu, you're so cute, my enigmatic kohai. He raised an eyebrow at that. Very well then, Hazy, you shall join me for tea after school. Look for the occult research club in the old school building. Be punctual, Issei. Before he could say anything, Rius was already walking away. She felt part of his aura leak, and she liked my lips in delight. Soon, Issei, you will be mine. Later that day, Issei found himself in a very tight position, right now sitting in the ORC clubroom as the president stared at him. Akino brought a cup of tea and set it before him. Arigato. She giggled at him. She had a smile on that sent a small shiver up his spine. Whoa, thanks Braraquil. Issei-kun. I suppose you know why I asked you here. He gave a slight nod. She smiled. I want to invite you into my peerage. Ever since that I saw you during the raiding game I knew you were special, and now we meet again. Maybe it's fate. He narrowed his eyes at her. I don't believe in fate. I apologize then, but still, considering you were captured by Aazelle, I can say that you currently have no connections, that is apart from the person you seem to house. I see you've done your homework, said the young man as he crossed his arms. Just a little bit here and there. You're awfully good at covering your tracks, you know. He pet his head. Oh, Gremory-senpai, are you hoping to get some dirt on me? He asked, not bothering to hide the mirth he felt. And somehow she knew he was mocking her. Believe me, Issei, if there was I would have uncovered it by now. Good to know. Moving on, Issei-kun, I want to invite you into my peerage. And if I refuse? You would be considered a threat. He paused, seemingly in thought. Victory? That's not good. All right, Rius Gremory, let's make a deal. She perked up at that. I believe you know of the game of chess. She grinned inside. Sit. Well, I propose a game. If you win, you get me. If I win, I would be allowed to stay in this town. Simple yes? Yes, she couldn't have asked for a better deal. Of course, Issei. Akino, will you set it up for us? Of course, Rius. 5 minutes later, the chessboard was set up in between the players. Issei's black pieces contrasted with Rius' own crimson. Slowly, with a calculating look on her face, she moved the first piece. The game had begun. The clock ticked 19 minutes and 8 seconds. The game had ended. Shock. Yes, there were a lot of open mouths in the club room. Issei had won. A checkmate with 6 pieces, total domination. The only person who ever beaten her so badly had been Sona and her brother. Frankly, it was humiliating. She felt like she had been toyed with throughout the game. He was in control of the flow since he made his first move, and now looking into those fiery orbs of his, she had never felt so small. Rius Gremory had just utterly lost the game. Well, it looks like it's my win. I hold you to your word, Gremory. The young man got up. Wait, their eyes clashed. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. I've spent enough time here as it is. Are you going back to your home, the person that lives with you? If that is whom you worry about, I'm sure I can also dash. No need for that. Besides, he stopped at that, tilted his head a little. Never mind, we had a deal and you lost. At least uphold your end. Our deal was that you'd be allowed to live in this town, not that I would refrain from asking you to join my peerage. He smirked. I know. Well then, see you tomorrow, senpai. And he was gone, leaving an eerie silence in the clubroom. Era, does this mean we're back to square one? Asked the now interested Akino. After Issei's little game with Rius, he found himself wandering the town. It wasn't too big but just the right size. He almost felt pity. The tingling he'd been feeling hadn't gone away. Something was about to happen, but he wasn't a medium. He had no clue what. But it seemed fate already had plans for him, for he was attracted to the oddest scene. The cloaked girl lay slumped on the floor while birds poked their beaks into her skin. The occasional cat would try to snag an easy meal, but their feathered foes proved superior. It wasn't until the third cycle of this that Issei noticed he was staring. The brunette was torn between leaving the girl and helping her. He walked in circles, biting his lips. Such a trivial matter was putting him in a limbo. After coming to a decision, the young man approached the girl. You all right? He asked while poking her. No reply. He carried her, now that he had a clear view of her face, and he took a twinge of red. The blue-haired girl in his arms was gorgeous, not to mention her well-proportioned body which he was cradling oh so tightly in his arms. He really wondered how he manages to get himself into these kind of situations. Casting a quick spell, the young man was gone. Hyoudou residence. Normality, such an easy word. While most people wanted to break away from it, Hyoudou Issei craved it. He watched the floating gothic Lolita dragon god as she stared at the girl he brought. When he had been carrying her, he heard the girl's stomach growl, and he had come to the conclusion that she had indeed passed out from hunger. How that was possible was totally beyond him. And now back to Ophis. She ran her hands over the body of the unconscious girl, apparently also feeling the power of the holy sword. She stopped. A snake manifested curled along her arm. It reached into the girl. That's when it dragged out a blade. Issei watched in mild surprise as Ophis brought out the sword. He immediately recognized it. Durandal, so that's why he had felt it. The legendary sword pulsed with power. Ophis, on the other hand, stared at it, and it was quite clear that she had claimed this as her new toy. He felt a little sorry for the owner. All right, Ophis, I'm going to make a big dinner seeing that we have a guest today. Ophis nodded absent-mindedly. I shall have fun with this, and Issei really didn't want to know what fun meant. Later that day, Zenovia woke up to the oddest feeling, something she hadn't felt in months. It was so soft, but she was pretty sure she collapsed somewhere in the middle of the road. Panic filled her. Trying to make sense of her surroundings, she flared her energy. The closest person to her was somewhere below in what appeared to be a kitchen. Slowly she slung her leg off the bed, only to stop when a boy suddenly appeared before her. Well, that wasn't very smart, he remarked offhandedly. She glared at him. Who are you? Come on now, that's not the way to talk to your savior, is it? She looked at him. He really didn't look like much, but he had appeared right out of a magic circle. Thank you for the help, but I was all right, I just needed a break. Issei looked at her like she had just grown another head. Didn't seem like that to me. I told you I'm Dash. On cue, her stomach growled. Her face gained a shade of crimson. Issei's lips twitched in a smirk. Of course. Besides, you can't leave now, unless you don't want your sword back. She looked confused, then her eyes widened. She closed her eyes in deep concentration, and the boy could only watch her fruitless efforts. Her eyes snapped open. Then she lunged, pinning the young man to the floor. Where is it? Easy there, Tiger-chan. My friend just took it out to have some fun. She's drawn to objects of power and you just happen to be carrying one. Zenovia knew, oh she knew it well, no normal person could possibly extract the holy sword from the dimension which she kept it in. Even though she wanted to deny it, she was still human, and still so curious. Who are you? Your savior. Who are you? Hyoudou Issei? That's not what I meant, no normal person can pull out Durandal, so who are you? Oh that, maybe if you agree to stay for dinner we could talk, I'm sure Ophis will be back by then. With that the Issei proceeded to slip away from under her. You coming? She nodded. There really wasn't anything she could do right now, but she was still worried about the safety of her savior. About an hour later, God help me, was what the ex-church member chanted as she lay on the couch. She never realized how hungry she truly was until she actually saw the food, and neither did she remember how much she ate, but the food just kept on coming, and the boy, Hyoudou Issei, was an excellent cook. Her mouth watered as she remembered the exquisite flavors that graced her tongue just minutes ago. Curse him and his perfect culinary skills, she mumbled. But then she appeared. The little girl basically came out of nowhere and stood in the middle of the living room, but what stood out was the blade that definitely looked too big for her, yet she held it straight, a ghost of a smile on her face. My sword, and poor Zenovia could not have been more shocked. Oh, Ophis, you're back, Issei said as he made his way from the kitchen. Ophis pointed the blade at her roommate. I see you enjoyed your little outing, she nodded. Before they could continue their conversation, a very confused blue-haired girl interrupted. What is going on here? How can she hold the blade like that? I thought you were just being humorous, but why does she bear the name of the Ouroboros dragon? The questions came out of their guest. Issei looked up in mock thought, then he snapped his fingers. Well, that's because she is the Ouroboros dragon. What? I said that because dash. I heard you the first time, but wasn't the dragon god, a dragon? Yes, but Ophis-John is also a shapeshifter. Silence followed. A million thoughts ran through Zenovia's head. Why would you tell me this? She asked uncertainly, a big contrast to her normal behavior. Issei smiled. Don't get me wrong, Zenovia, I know that you're probably been chased, and if I remember correctly the wielder of Durandal deserted the church some years back. I figured from the blood stain on your cloak that you were in a pinch, so I decided to help you, and besides, he glanced at the infinity dragon. Ophis has taken a liking to your sword, so you might not be getting it back for a while. But dash. I'm also aware of the fallen angel activity around, and since you might still need to recover your strength, here is the best place for you right now. Zenovia tried to think of a reason, anything at all, but she trying to go against a dragon god, she didn't even want to imagine it, and Issei seemed to be strong too. She slumped her head in defeat. Fine. That's your dash. Issei would have finished his sentence if the infinity dragon didn't suddenly appear on their guest's lap and began squeezing her épée. The brunette merely watched the scene, blood beginning to drip out of his nostrils. Is Issei, is it, supposed to feel this good? Glorious épée, and then he promptly dropped, the blood loss getting to him. That night, Issei was floating in what seemed to be an endless void, but he also seemed to be waiting for something. Flapping could be heard in the distance. A massive blur approached fast. As it came into view, the slick body of a large western dragon could be seen. However, this was no ordinary dragon. Great Red, the apocalypse dragon, was coming into view. It suddenly dove nose first downwards, twisting in a sharp arc. He shot up again. The wind pressure from pushed Issei backwards. Great Red made a spin above before coming to a halt, its eyes meeting Issei's. Still up to your tricks? Without moving its mouth, a scoff sound could be heard. You won't understand, this is true art. Wherever gr. The massive dragon-sized Issei up, a ritual for when he visited. So, looks like you aren't dead yet. Issei grinned, not planning to. I guess it's not my time yet. I wonder. The universe can be stupid at times. Issei nodded slowly. I should know. It might have been his imagination, but the dragon might just have smirked. Hurry up and die already. I want something amusing to happen. Just another thing the brunette had become accustomed to. Tell infinity that I visited, and the dragon of dragons took his leave to return whenever. Of course. In the real world, Issei's body turned into a more comfortable position on his bed. If he was awake, though, he would have seen the gray eyes that watched him carefully throughout his conversation with her arch-rival. The next day, Crow Academy, ORC room. The two sides leveled their piercing gazes. Rius, Sona and their peerages watched the two members of the church, one male introduced as Ryan Harper, and the other female named Ireina Hyoudou. Recently, the holy swords Excaliburs that were kept by the Catholic Church headquarter Vatican, Protestant Church, and Eastern Orthodox Church were stolen. We have been made aware by our higher-ups of that, Rius responded. Figures, the boy Ryan snorted. So let's skip this bullcrap. He pulled out his formerly wrapped blade. The Excalibur I hold is Excalibur Destruction. It's one of the 7 holy swords that were created. The Catholic Church is in control of it. He said, running his fingers down the blunt side. This made the devils in the room feel chills. The blade was easily one that could kill a high-class devil in one swoop. Ireina also took out something that looked like a long rope. That rope started to move as if it were alive. The rope changed its shape right in front of me and turned into a katana. Mine is Excalibur Mimic. I can change its shape into anything I want, so it's really useful for carrying around. Just like this, each Excalibur has its unique ability. This one is in the possession of the Protestant Church. She said it with pride. The same energy rolled of her Excalibur, instilling a twinge of fear into the devils. Just what they need, another holy sword. So what does the stolen Excaliburs have to do with this us? Sona continued. The Catholic Church was in possession of 2 Excaliburs, including mine. The Protestant Church also had 2. Also in the Eastern Orthodox Church there were 2 as well. The last one went missing in the previous war between God, devils, and fallen angels. 1 Excalibur was stolen from each church. The ones that stole them escaped to Japan and brought them to this town. Looks like our territory is full of incidents. So who are the ones that stole the Excaliburs? The ones that stole them were the Gregory. Rius and Sona widened their eyes in surprise at the answer. The holy swords were taken by the fallen angel organization? It's not a matter of mistake. But certainly it would be the fallen angels when it comes to stealing them. For the devils working at the top, holy swords does not give them much interest. We know the main culprit who stole the Excaliburs. One of the leaders of Gregory, Kokabiel. Kokabiel, one of the leaders of the fallen angels that survived the previous wars since ancient time. I never expected to hear that name, Sona murmured. Things seem to have already escalated. We sent priests, exorcists, to this town secretly, but they kept getting killed. That was your fault, not ours. Ireina. Ryan interrupted. We came here to send a message across, not to make friends. Look here, devils. We came here to tell you to keep your noses out of this incident. The silence that followed was not a comforting one. It was laced with a tension so thick it could be cut with a knife. Fine, we will back down as long as you do not overstep your boundaries. Remember, you are in devil territory. Of course, Gremory, Ireina quickly said. You'd probably get killed anyway. Devils like you got nothing on us. Excuse me? Rius had a full-on glare now. Ryan smirked. I said, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? A voice commented from the back of the room where the most killing intent radiated from. Oh, looks like someone's itching for a beatdown. I've had to go days without swinging my blade, so I hope you can give me some excitement. Hyoudou, don't, Rius tried. But Kiba cut her off. Fine, I'll slash that smile right of your face. I'll take that as a challenge, so then why don't we step out? In a few minutes the former occupants of the ORC clubroom were outside. Is this really okay, fighting members of the church? Sona asked Rius. It's alright, this is simply an unofficial sparring match, right Hyoudou-san? Rius asked the other church member. Yep, if either of our higher-ups knew, we'd be in big trouble, Ireina commented cheerily, but still a little disturbed. In all her time of being partners with Ryan, she knew his to sometimes lose himself in a battle frenzy, something she didn't particularly like. She could only pray that he didn't act stupid here. The combatants stared themselves down. So we gonna do this or what? Ryan asked. Fine then, allow me to make the first move. Various blades sprung from the earth. Sword birth, never thought I'd see that here, Ryan mumbled, but he had no time because his opponent charged him. Their blades clashed. While Kiba's face was blank, Ryan's had a smirk. He pushed his opponent back. Is that it? Not even close. Kiba changed his blades, and charged again, going straight to the head with a move, the tip of his blade almost usable. His opponent merely used the thickest part of his own blade to block it. On collision, Kiba's shattered, falling prey to the superior blade. Ryan spun his blade overhead. There is a reason why this blade is called Excalibur Destruction. He brought it into the ground, the impact forming a crater that Kiba merely dodged. Fine then, as Kiba said that a blade began to form in his hands, one much bigger than what the other devils were accustomed to seeing him handle. He lunged, the weight of the blade forcing an open stance. As Kiba got closer, his enemy charged, the blunt edge of his blade striking him in the abdomen. The demonic sword fell. Ryan nudged Kiba's body with his blade. "You aren't even worth it," he crouched to his fallen opponent. "But you know, if you beg me, I'll be more than happy to put you out of your misery." "I think that's enough," Rius said from the sidelines. "We accept the church's victory in this match." Ryan scoffed. "Let's not be seeing you around, Devil Queen. Ireina, let's go." The two figures eventually disappeared, finally bringing a sense of calm to the devils and a burning hatred to one in particular. Where did Sona go off to?" Rius asked, seeing that her friend had seemingly disappeared. On the top of one of the school's towers, Issei watched what had happened. The grin did not falter of his face, but the universe decided that he was having too much fun. "Look like I was having so much fun, I forgot to watch my back," he murmured. "Kaicho, did you know that stalkers are creepy?" Sona materialized a few steps away from him, though in reality she was there but hidden by a very strong invisibility spell. "Yes, Haze, I am quite aware of that, having had my fair share of the lot." "Really, it wasn't a question. It seems like ever since you got here it has been one thing or the other." Issei regarded her. "Are you suggesting that I am the cause of this incident?" He wasn't provoked, more like amused. "No, it just seems rather convenient." "True." He smiled. "I know you want to ask me something." "True." Sona adjusted her glasses. "You intrigue me, Heidi Issei. Just when I think I've figured you out, you do something that throws me of, like, a never-ending puzzle." "I'm endeared." A small smile played along his face. "You know, I was once told that beings like me attract other people because they tend to be fascinated by us. So stupid, this fate." He stared into the horizon with a slight longing look on his face. Sona noticed the look on Issei's face. Had she just breached a wall? "Are you saying that you're not human?" she asked tentatively. "Are you saying that I am?" he replied. "I guess not. You know, you and Gremory are doing this all wrong." "What exactly?" He stuck his thumb toward his chest. "Trying to get me. I hardly know anything about you and you think that I'll just waltz into your peerage and everything would be fine and dandy." She was silent. Then, "I admit, we might have been rather dogmatic in our pursuit, but please understand the state of the underworld has forced our hands. If the heirs of the leading clans show weakness, then we might become venerable." "Stupid underworld politics," the brunette concluded. "You complain, but you yourself don't seem so bad when it comes to playing with people." "I'm flattered." The silence stretched on. "So, Issei-san, what do you intend to do?" Question mark. "About the holy sword users. You don't seem to be the type to wait around." "Oh, I've been caught." He walked towards her. "True enough, something big is about to go down in this town and I'm afraid I might have tangled myself in the web already." "Might you have known about that Kokabiel was involved?" He only grinned. "Very well then," she stretched her hand to him. "As you have said, maybe I should change my approach. So do you want to be friends, Issei?" He looked at her for a while. "Sure, maybe this would work out for both of us." They shook hands. She was about to leave when Kaicha. "Sona is all right." "All right, but only if you call me Ei. That's what all my friends call me." "Very well. Do you want to go on a date?" "Heh." I said, "Do you want to go on a date, Sona?" He said. Now he was standing just an arm length away from her. His natural scent, she noticed, was very intoxicating. But we just agreed to be friends, shouldn't we?" "You know that thing's slower," she stuttered a little. "Sona Citri does not stutter. Pull yourself together, damn it," her mind yelled. He had a grin on his face. "That sounded like I was inviting you to my bed." Now he was really close. He ran his fingers through the side of her short locks. "It's just a date, Kaicho. I'm new to this town and I was wondering if I could see some places. Considering my burden will be lightened soon, so I was planning on stretching my legs a little." "Oh, of course." "A rig is Sona." He stepped back. Well then, how about on Sunday? The mess would be cleared up by then. We can set up a meeting time later. Sunday is all right. He put on his best schoolboy grin. Sunday it is then, he said before leaping off the side of the building. Sona didn't feel the need to check if he broke any bones or not. Am I being played with? She asked herself, but in reality maybe she was looking forward to their little outing, someone who she could talk to without knowing what he was going to say next. Yes, for the first time in years Sona Citri was actually looking forward to something, but what should I wear on Sunday? Were her last thoughts before going to reunite with her peerage. On the streets. Issei took his time in getting home. Today he had made a new friend, or sort of. It was mainly her methods that amused him. That was the only reason he agreed to being her friend in the first place. Or maybe he was really looking for another friend to spice up his life. He wasn't sure, but right now he really didn't care. The faint shift in air current alerted him of his stalker, but this one had been trailing him for days now. A shadow distorted a meter in front of him. Come out, I know you're there, he said evenly. Raynare should have been shocked, but she wasn't. When she was given the job, she was told to watch him for some days then kill him. But she had held of the killing part for a while, mainly because her target might not be well in the head. He did pointless things, had random talks with himself, and overall behaved like someone who might be deemed unstable in the human society. So after days of having her fun, she had decided to end this charade today. Slowly she stepped out of the shadows, her wings tucked. So you have finally shown your face, Detenshi. So you have finally shown your face, Detenshi. Hyoudou Issei. You really are an interesting human. He gave her a strange look. And you must be the dumbest fallen angel I've ever met. She scowled. Quiet human, I admit I did feel pity for you. It appears you have encountered the supernatural previously. The experience must be driving you crazy. She transformed into her battle outfit, if it could be called that, spread her wings and elevated a little. But don't worry, you shall be cured in death. Issei watched the scene play out before him. He was sure that somewhere in his mind he had experienced something similar to this very scenario. Not once, not twice, but a whole bunch of times. After the first few times of playing dumb, he realized it just wasn't fun listening to them taunt his supposed dead body. This time had a special need that he wanted to be fulfilled. Perhaps if you had a sacred gear I might receive some sort of award for killing you, but oh well, if I do complete this, I'll soon get a mission that would make the higher-ups aware of my power. And then the light spears came. He swiftly dodged them, which infuriated Raynare. Stay still, stupid human. Another round which Issei dodged swiftly again, throwing her a smirk. It seems you are more troublesome than you appear. She put her hands together. This was a new technique she was learning. It wasn't at its best, but it was more than enough to prevent the human mobility and kill him at the same time. The light gathered, multiple tight light spearheads appeared on the glowing orb of light. Echi. She poured all her energy out as the spears covered the general area of the fight. The aftermath left a very out-of-breath Raynare barely holding herself in midair. A shadow covered her, and before she could react the boy had a vice-like grip on her neck. He smirked. This is good, you've received less than standard training, you're also extremely stupid, you've been watching me for days and you still assume that I am just a mere human. What an idiot, not to mention you've got some serious pride issues, and you've got a decent pair. You're perfect. What are you? She wheezed out, the fear creeping in on her. Get away from me. Monster. She attempted to claw his face. I'm hurt, Detenshi-san, and here I thought we were connecting. She tried and tried, but the boy was unmoving. A thoughtful look spread across his face as his eyes examined Raynare. Don't be like that, human. Can I call you that? Human. His breath was hot on her neck. Leave me alone. Kokabiel-sama will destroy you, she yelled in his face. Oh, do you really believe he cares for someone such as yourself? He replied blankly. Kokabiel-sama will lead us to a new age. Issei was silent for a while, pathetic. What? You're pathetic, clinging to such delusional hopes. If Kokabiel was to succeed, do you think the lives of lower-class fallen angels like you would be better? He could see it in her eyes now. Denial. No. What do you know? A lot more than you do, I'm sure. He paused. Enough of this now, you're coming with me. She struggled against his iron grip. Don't worry, Yuma-chan, where you're going there'll be lots and lots of sand and play, he grinned. Her eyes widened. No, release me, you pervert. Ntai, "The yelled the fallen angel, but unfortunately no one would come for the fallen angel who was now doomed to an unknown fate. Hyoudou residence. Issei entered his home. Ophis was somewhere presumably hacking into some unfortunate being that crossed her path, and Zenovia was apparently reading a book. "I'm home," he announced in a cheery voice. "Welcome," Zenovia said. Then she laid her eyes on the passed-out fallen angel who Issei was now carrying bridal style. Not the oddest thing she had seen so far, admittedly, though she was curious. "Why do you have a fallen angel with you?" "Oh, well, you see." And he proceeded to explain what had occurred. "I think that's dangerous. You should always exterminate possible threats." And then the lecture came. Issei had quickly come to realize that while Zenovia had broken away from the church, she had not completely disregarded her ideals. He would have been happy for her if she wasn't a complete church fanatic, despite knowing their most well-guarded secret. "Well, Zenovia-chan, she will be the solution to your problem. If you want Durandal back, you have to give Ophis something more." "Interesting, but we are running out of time already, so I brought someone to take the role. Yuma-chan should be able to occupy Ophis for a while." "I see," Zenovia said slowly, silently. She wondered how Issei has been taking care of the dragon god, and for how long. Wait, how old is Issei? She glanced at the boy who was now laying the fallen angel on the couch. He had clearly been alive for a while, but in the supernatural world, age is merely superficial. Issei adopted a thoughtful look on his face. "I saw 2 church members today. They were wielding Excaliburs," said the brunette. Zenovia turned to him, all her attention now completely on her host. Sometime later, Zenovia for one was feeling slightly hollow inside. The mission assigned to Ireina and the other person would surely end in the loss of one of their lives, and she prayed that it won't be Ireina. She might have left the church, but she still considered Ireina a friend. The girl looked tough. "I don't think she would die easily." Issei tried to quell Zenovia's raging thoughts. He clapped his hands. "I've got an idea. Do you have a swimsuit?" Zenovia looked at the brunette like he had just dropped from the sky. She was worrying about her friend and he was worrying about a swimsuit? "No, why?" He gave her a toothy grin. Sometime later. "Curse you, It might have been threatening if Zenovia didn't use the voice of someone who was completely relaxed. The brunette merely chuckled. They were currently underground the Hyoudou residence, in what appeared to be an onsen, or was it a heated pool? Zenovia didn't really know the difference, but right now she could feel her worries begin to fade, well, most of them at least. "Feels good, doesn't it?" commented her host from the other side. "I guess." "Zenovia," he turned serious again, "I didn't want to bring this up, but why did you leave the church? I might not have asked it, but you seemed particularly jumpy when I mentioned the girl, Ireina, right? I'm guessing you had something to do with the Excalibur project." He finished, staring into her dark yellow eyes. She sighed. She knew she'd eventually have to tell him. "Well, where do I start?" she reminisced a little. "It might have all started when 2 found out about Jeremy Hayden." Seeing the confused look, she explained, "He was a natural holy sword user like me. Despite that you could say he was one of a kind, extremely talented, he mastered every single blade the church gave him and used them to their full potential, but he died prematurely and the church could not have that." She paused and her face darkened. "So they devised a plan, like the Swordbirth project. They got some test subjects, all given a portion of Hayden's DNA with some additives, but ultimately, they all died. It wasn't Hayden's genes that killed them, but a human just can't assimilate the genes of another without some help, and with the additives, the church was trying to create something higher than human." Issei's eyes widened at this. "So even in the church, huh?" He gave a dry laugh inside. "I was initially their backup plan in case they needed to run parallel experiments, but that's when they brought him, Valper Galilei." Her fists tightened below the water surface. "He made the project work. There were sacrifices, but the project was deemed a success." "Well, I definitely didn't see that coming. I was under the impression that Valper had already been driven out of the church by this time," Issei commented. "He had been, apparently someone very influential who was depending on the project's success hired him, but of course when the Holy Sword project shut down, Project Hayden the Savior was also shut down, at least it was meant to be. Not long after its success was when I found out about Valper. He was the one who told me what I was there for, and about Jeremy Hayden, he even..." Her hands were becoming white now. told me about the death of God. He was going to run away, but he wanted to take me as his perfect specimen because of my ability. Wait, why was he going to run away? Wasn't the project a success? Issei interrupted, slightly disturbed by the whole story. They were flawed. The test subjects would eventually succumb to the modified Hayden's gene and start to decay from inside out. And because he knew that Ireina, who was part of the project, was my friend, he had the gall to dangle the antidote before me. That's just plain evil. It was. So I beat the BSTRD up and took it from him, not long after the church authorities found out that the project had not been stopped. It was sometime around this time that Valper disappeared. The coward. She continued, 2 years later I left the church after enough training and tried to track him down, but I was too late. Every single time he would have already escaped, and now he's conducting another experiment, the Chimera experiment, but I'm sure that I would get him soon. I can feel it. Issei was silent for a while. I'm sorry that you had to go through all that. She shook her head. It wasn't your fault. As much as I don't want to say it, it was the fault of the church for not noticing it in time. Silence for a while, then, I see, don't sweat the small stuff. If you're happy now, I guess it's alright, and in some days you'll get to see your friend. Just hope she doesn't hate you. She gave a smile and a nod of appreciation. Listen, I've been thinking about a few things. I want to ask you a favor. When this is over, would you make babies with me? Was. Didn't you hear me? My purpose in life was once to serve God, but when I learnt of his fate, I decided to harm those that have brought me pain, but hopefully this would soon be over. But what would I do after that? In the few days I have been here, I have decided to pursue a more womanly goal, and I have come to see you as an ideal companion, so I'm asking us to procreate. This is my dream, my desire, and my goal. She was coming closer now. Wait, hold up. What is wrong, Issei? Do you not have confidence in your skills? I have inquired of Ophis, and she told me that your skills are adept enough to make a woman scream through the night. She blushed a little. I believe that is proof enough for me. Zenovia-chan, are you all right? Or do you require FRPOY? Yes, I would do this. Like a bullet, Zenovia launched herself at him. Crazy training, was what Issei thought. He desperately tried to escape, but was caught short as he slipped. Zenovia took her opportunity and straddled him, pinning him to the ground. Issei, do I not meet your standards? No. Wait, no, not dash. But the universe did not have time for Issei's mumbling, because at that moment Zenovia removed her top. A faint red color dusted her cheeks as she tried to maintain her calm facade. Is this enough, FRS? Issei's throat became dry. The thing was that before Issei came to this town, he had just awoken from a couple of years of sleep, to which he then proceeded to be dragged around by Ophis to see the world for a few more years before they finally settled here for what was going to be 2 to 3 years. In conclusion, Issei's body was itching, however. He smiled. Zenovia. They stared into each other's eyes. Sleep. The brunette watched Zenovia, barely reacting in time to catch her. While his body protested at the denial, he managed to hold up. Not just yet, Zenovia. You have to rescue your friend first. He scooped her up. Then you can thank me, he said as he departed to his room. 2 figures raced through the forest in pursuit of their target, who seemed to only be increasing in speed. Come on, Ireina, you're too slow, Ryan growled at his partner, who was a few paces behind him. Will you shut it? He's obviously drawing us out, Ireina replied with matching ferocity, which silenced him. Finally they got out of the forested area, and indeed freed Selzen stood there in all his maniacal glory waiting for them. He gripped 2 of his blades. Church brats, come let me introduce you to my lovely friends, Excalibur Transparency. With that the man vanished. The 2 church members kept their guard up, but in the end it was only the sheer skill gained for training that saved their necks, as they both brought their blades to meet that of the invisible freed. He materialized with his other blade blocking the church duos. Excalibur rapidly, with his speed advantage, he pulled back and went in for a killing jab, which Ryan promptly deflected with his sword. The stray exorcist eyes rolled a little, the familiar adrenaline pumping through his veins. Come now, kiddies, should you really be playing with such dangerous toys? He asked mockingly. That's usually what the bad guy says before attempting to run, Ryan retorted. It started slow, Soft chuckles were heard, then a full-blown maniacal laughter came from the stray exorcist. His body wobbled. Ryan saw his chance. With all his speed he charged. Fried's red eyes gleamed. Fool! In an instant he charged the boy who was still in mid-sprint. Instead of outright killing him, his blade went towards his arm. Dismemberment. The wielder of Excalibur destruction saw this. In a desperate attempt, he released his right arm of the blade, the weight of the blade tipping his own arm, the side of the rapidly cutting into his left hand and dispossessing him of his blade. Ryan fell to his knees as they buckled under him. The pain was mind-numbing. Fried's blade would have split his head if a katana didn't block its path. Get back, Ireina grit through her teeth. This guy might just be above their level. Ryan retreated. Ojun, why don't you come with me? When I rule, I'll make you my queen and give you countless babies. Fried grinned at her disturbed face. Over your dead body. Suit yourself, but I'm pretty sure it only works when the person is alive. Now Ireina was really starting to hate this guy. Their blades clashed. Ireina, instead of attempting to use strength, she went with pure skill, evading and striking when an opening showed. Just like a pretty butterfly, now I really want you, Oju-chan. Rot in hell, you freak. Another maniacal laughter. Oh, we were mean to be. Fried's two blades came crashing down. Ireina barely managed to escape the damage radius. However, something caught her attention. Scanning the battlefield, she noticed that her teammate was nowhere in sight. She tried tracking his energy. He wasn't in her field of detection. That bastard really left me, she growled, completely furious for the first time in years. Watch out, Oju-chan, never take your eyes off the enemy, Fried yelled as their blades collided once again. But this time Ireina was sent tumbling backward, almost losing her sword. I'm impressed, but this ends now. In a burst of speed the exorcist hadn't displayed before he seemed to vanish, Ireina flared her senses. Above. Too late, Oju-chan, yelled the mad exorcist, his blade colliding with Ireina's. She fell to her knees as her world became dominated with black spots. She was already out before her body hit the ground. Fried examined his handiwork. The girl was out like a light, courtesy of one of his newer moves. He glanced at his watch. Those little bees really made him me all over the place, he thought to himself. He examined the girl. On normal days he'd have abducted the girl, but he was already running behind schedule, and he'll probably have a really sad fallen angel yelling in his face. He popped a cigarette into his mouth. He kicked the unconscious body of the Ireina again. You're really lucky, Oju-chan. You'd have been the first of my many wives in my new kingdom, but I've got a schedule to keep. And the maniac was gone, leaving a much bruised Ireina. Well, this is troubling, a figure said as she looked at the unconscious body of the church representative. Tsubaki, take her to the healing chambers. Tsubaki gave a quick nod to her king before gently carrying the bruised brunette away. Sona inspected the damage done to the area. Looks like I have some things to discuss with Rius. Sona and Rius were in the ORC clubroom. Sona had just finished relaying what had happened. I see, but it seems that they have withdrawn for now. Yes, but it looks like something came up that delayed their plans. Apparently someone destroyed Kokabiel's former base. Do you think it was Issei? Rius asked skeptically. No, I thought the same thing too, but the survivor Tsubaki interrogated said, and I quote, a little demon wielding a giant carving knife. Not sure what he saw, but I think we can rule Issei out. Whatever you say, I guess we owe whoever this little demon is. In a particular house, a dragon god sneezed, then she went back to balancing on the giant carving knife. We still have everyone on alert. I'm sure we would know when they decide to attack, Sona assured her friend. Still, they took out an Excalibur user. Are you sure we should not ask Issei-kun for help? Sona adjusted her glasses. No, I believe things will follow their course, she stood. I will keep you posted, Rius. And then she left, leaving Rius to stare at the empty space. Could they really defeat it? Fallen Angel General? If they did, no doubt it would lift the heavy burden of them, but still, and so the crimson-haired beauty pondered. Some days later. It was too sudden. After the school hours, the members of the ORC were doing what they usually did. Today the SC was also in the school. The looming threat they faced had them backing up their work. Today they were trying to finish it all up. Then the explosions came, rocking the school. Rius had immediately gone to check what was going on through the window, and her fears were confirmed. Kokabiel was striking in the heart of their territory. Seeing the male church rep been tossed around like a rag didn't help the cold feeling that was slowly clawing at her. Naturally, she rallied her peerage, and with the help of Sona, a barrier was formed, keeping the outside world oblivious and leaving them with a very bloodlust fallen. And that brings us back to the present. Her body ached, it ached so badly. Rius watched as the church representative got flung away. They were currently fighting a Cerberus, definitely not the original, she decided, or they would have been dead by now. She gave a small smile. Defeat tastes so bad, then a glimmer of hope. Ryan, you jackhole, the newcomer yelled to the church member. Turning around, the participants of the battle saw a very sad Ireina. Ireina? No, it's your fairy godmother. Yep, the church rep was said. Don't understand why you're so mad. You knew that we might not have made it out alive, he defended himself. Partners are supposed to watch each other's backs, and you left me with that freak. Only God knows what he would have done to me. Well, you're here now, aren't you? She glared at him. Your actions will be reported to Boss Sama when we return. Ryan grumbled under his breath. From where Kokabiel was sitting, he merely laughed at the antics of his opponents. He was getting tired of this charade. It appeared that the super devils were not coming, so he no longer had any immediate use for the heiresses. Disposable was the word that flashed through his mind as he descended. Ireina watched the fight play out. While she was definitely sad, but she had to maintain her composure on the battlefield. She focused, muttered her unbinding spell. Forces of this world, forces that be, from the eye of the ruler, I beseech you hear my plea, and grant this maiden her wish. A beautiful blade was drawn out of the newly opened pocket dimension. She charged the nearest Cerberus. She manipulated flames on the blade and cleaved the monster in two, her true power. The blade she was wielding, Skyfrost Prayer, a blade made from the fifth element, the spirit element otherwise known as Akasha, having the unique ability bend the elements to its user's whim, but she was not nearly good enough to do so. While naturally she preferred not to use it, but on this occasion she had lost her Excalibur and she was just too sad to give a DMN about exhausting herself. The fakes fell one after the other under the rage of angry Hyoudou. However, her streak would end as one split before the impact of her blade. Luckily she noticed this. With a ring of fire she twisted in midair and dispelled them. Her limbs felt like lead. She felt someone touch her and energy begin to flow through her body. Ireina turned to see the current Sekirei. Arigato. Suji blushed a little. I only did it because Bucho told me to. Her lips quirked in a smile. May God bless your divine soul, he prayed for him. Pain riddled Suji's head. Can it? Keep your prayer to yourself, he grumbled. Sorry about that, force of habit. A cackle, then a full-blown laugh. The fallen angel had watched the scene. He couldn't resist laughing. Of course he totally forgot about that. He stopped trying to regain his dignity. It's surprising that you still pray, he addressed Ireina. What's so surprising about that? Oh, so you don't know, even though you wield an Excalibur, it appears that you haven't been told about that yet. What are you going on about? Ireina asked, her anger returning with her strength. Ha ha ha. Oh, that's right, I'm stirring up a war. It's perfect, he paused. In the Great War, the 4 Satans perished, and so did your precious master. God is dead. Ireina's grip slackened. What are you saying, lies? Your lies won't work on me. Oh, but it's the truth. After all, I was there. The Great War claimed many lives, including the leaders of the underworld and your master. Their deaths transformed the world into the chaotic state it is in today. Don't you see, the world can never be the same again, and when I win this war all shall be united under me. Rius' hands were shaking. It couldn't be, could it? Was this world all a lie? Ryan stepped forward. Nonsense. Come at me, fallen one. I'll cut that blasphemous tongue out of your mouth. Kokabiel smirked denial, and at that moment, sword birth. Kiba's energy flooded the battlefield. The sword which he held transformed into something both parties had never seen before. Behold the sword of betrayal, a sword that is both holy and demonic. The battlefield was stunned. I can't believe my eyes. In theory, the holy and demonic can never dash. His eyes gleamed. I see, I understand. Everything makes sense if the balance between the holy and demonic is skewed. Therefore both the Satans and go dash. Before the mad doctor could finish his rant, a light spear penetrated his head. He never knew what hit him as a said farewell to the world of the living. Kokabiel on the other hand just smirked. You have seen it now, proof. A holy demonic sword, two powers that were never meant to come together, so now, would you deny it? A thud was heard as Asia hit the ground. The news had apparently been too much for her to handle. Kokabiel formed a light spear as he saw the shock look on the faces of his opponents. They were merely kids, and they couldn't comprehend. Explosion. A red beam of energy nearly took of Kokabiel's hand, however, it did injure his wing. The fallen angel focused on the annoying Dragon Emperor. Brat, to think you would interrupt my moment of glory, how exciting, this is exciting kid. Is that so? A smooth voice interrupted from the sky. Who's there? Then the shield which had held out for so long crumbled as a light descended, its presence overwhelming the injured teenagers. It descended slowly, stopping in midair. A white-plated armor. There were jewels across various locations on the armor. It also had armor on the face, so we couldn't see the expression of this person. The 8 wings of light growing from the back were giving out a divine glow in the dark night. Though different, it held a strong resemblance to the boosted gear scale male. Vanishing Dragon. The first one to say that was the leader of the fallen angels, Kokabiel. The opposite to the Welsh dragon, the Vanishing Dragon. Why are you here? Has the presence of the red one drawn you? He dash. Before he could finish, his wings were pulled out. The massacre of the white one had begun. My wings. It's like the wing of a crow. It has a disgusting color to it. Azazel's wing is much darker and has the color of everlasting darkness, you know. In Kokabiel's rage he took to the sky. In his hands, the biggest light spear the teenage devils had ever seen was forming. The Hakuryuku looked on calmly. My name is Albion. Divide. The sound, and the aura around Kokabiel got reduced immediately, so as the giant light spear as it began to shrink to nothingness. What? One of the abilities of my divine dividing. It has the power of those I touch every 10 seconds. Your power will become my power. You don't have time. If you don't defeat me quickly, you will become so weak that you can't even beat a human. The Hakuryuku explained calmly, unfazed and untouched. How boring, I thought you'd put up a better fight. I've been asked to retrieve you, as you might be of some use to us. Albion charged Kokabiel, attacking him head-on. Once they connected, the Vanishing Dragon used his superior speed, a simple midair tussle, and a hole in the ground later, and the enemy which the devils had been fighting for some 45 minutes was defeated. The Vanishing Dragon? Sona asked, a little panicked as her and her peerage arrived at the scene. Albion stood above Kokabiel. Another easy job, he mentally scoffed. Ignoring me, White One? Suji's sacred gear spoke. So you were awake, Red One? The beast within the divine dividing spoke. We finally met, but in a situation like this. Draig replied. That's all right. It's our destiny to fight one day. Things like this happen. If anyone could see the large red western dragon, they would having seen it nodding its head, but White One. I can't feel the hostility from you like before. Red One. Your hostility is incredibly low as well. Yes. This partner is most troublesome. Honestly, I've grown lazy. All I do is sleep all day, he replied, earning a glare from Suji. Is that so? The young man inside the armor asked. Well then, Red Dragon Emperor, I can't have my rivals slacking off. Come at me, let's have a duel here and now. Suji's body shook. Could he really beat someone like that? Why do you hesitate? Like our dragons have said, it is our faith to do battle, or are you just that weak? He asked. Very well, it looks like I'd have to make the first move. A bright energy beam shot out his hand on course to his rival. The young man easily evaded it. However, he forgot the girl that was behind him who was still recovering from shock. Suji, the church rep. Sheet. All right, now's the time, and he was gone. Zenovia wasn't sure if he teleported or it was just an instant burst of speed, but she honestly hoped it was the former. Ireina saw it coming. Her legs were failing her, and after what she had just been told, was there anything she was living for? At least if she died here, she would be able to meet God in the afterlife. Wait, was that even possible? She felt them, a strong pair of arms grabbed her. Was this death's embrace? You shouldn't do that, you know, a voice spoke to her. Opening her eyes, she saw her savior, more like Prince Charming. He had just swept of all her feet. A warm smile graced his face. You shouldn't do that. If you give up, your friend would be sad. Issei, a new voice intruded, but this was a voice she hadn't heard in years. Zenovia? Ireina. Zenovia, and the tears came, the injured girl jumping into her friend's arms and sobbing her heart out. Issei smiled, then he shifted his attention to the Hakuryuku, whom he perceived might have been glaring at him. You know, you should always watch out for collateral damage, especially if that damage is a person's life. Where did you come from? Doesn't matter, but that fallen does. Hand him over and we can avoid any unnecessary fighting. You interrupt my discussion with my rival and now you think you can order me around. I'll beat you into the ground. For your sake I hope you put up a good fight. Issei merely smirked. So the reports are true. Vali Lucifer is indeed a warmonger. I'm flattered, but now I think I'll capture you too. For Saji, it had to be the most exciting thing ever. He got to see the power of his rival up close. Without receiving the pain, silently he wondered if Issei was truly mad. People don't just go up against a heavenly dragon, but all things considered, who was truly sane in their world. So for now, he would watch. Both enemies faced each other, and with speed making the devil's present blink, two fists collided, the waves of power rolling over them. What is this? You matched my speed and my strength. Vali was just a little shocked. His opponent grinned. Vali was been pushed back. Vali examined his opponent. At first glance he looked to be nothing more than an ordinary high school student, but there was something off about him. Vali the with dragon spoke in his wielder's mind. What is it, Albion? Be careful with this one. He radiates cosmic energy, Albion said in a puzzled voice. Having not seen something like this before, he was indeed confused if not a little curious. Isn't that like what only you dragon possess? And now you know the problem. What is your name? Vali asked his opponent. Annoying. Let's try this again. They charged each other. This Issei going for a kick to the head. Vali dodged it. The two continued their hand-to-hand dance, but Vali got too close. He only had time to see the smirk of his opponent before Issei's hand formed a red orb. He blasted it straight into the Hakuryuku's face. Vali was stunned. The upper part of his armor and one arm was completely blasted off. He couldn't stop the grin that came to his face. Exciting. The battle maniac in him hadn't seen this type of fun in months. Looks like I can finally put a name to the face. It's nice to finally meet the elusive Vali Lucifer. Should I be honored? Vali asked, now giving his opponent his full attention. Don't flatter yourself, was the brunette's reply. Come now, I'm just getting warmed up, Vali said, energy gathering into one hand and demonic into the other. Without hesitation he released them. Issei watched the event unfold. It was a typical aim for your opponent, and aim for the injured. With his quick reflex he dodged the attack towards him. In his hand a reddish transparent three-dimensional box formed. He released it only for it to collide with Vali's attack, but the box seemed to draw the attack into itself. As the attack finished absorbing, Issei pointed at the vanishing dragon. Instantly the box went for its target. It exploded once in the vicinity. After a close call with the unexpected bomb, Vali shot forward, pushing his speed capabilities to the maximum. He grabbed the brunette by the collar, taking them both soaring into the sky. What's with that look? I just wanted us to have some alone time. Issei made a face. I want you to join me. ? Soon enough, I will form a group and we will rise to power. Tell me, what can these worthless pretend devils offer you that I cannot? If you join me, we could have fights like this every time and countless other rewards. Issei was silent for a while. I see it now, the kind of person you are. No, this makes perfect sense. What are you going on about? Rivism, he is the one that turned you into this, and I'm sure he's the one that sent you here also. He keeps sending you into life or death battles, and now you only accept strength. Strength defines your way of life. Kill or be killed, is it? Interesting. You don't know anything, Vali growled. He flung the brunette down towards the earth. At a distance he himself charged, slamming into Issei. Divide. But in mid-air Issei twisted. Instead of him on the bottom, it was Vali. they slammed into the ground, forming another crater. Vali groaned. Albion, what was that? No reply. Albion. Still no reply. Albio dash. What? I told you to be careful with this one. It seems I was right. Why didn't the divine dividing work on him? It did, but it seems the boy is using magic similar to our own system. While we release excess energy, he has used a seal to set a fixed point for he can't build his energy up, but he also can't lose what has already been stored inside. A mundane tactic, but against us. Most effective, Albion explained, his tone of voice clearly hinting that he was impressed. With blood already obscuring the view in one eye, he spread his wings again. This day just keeps getting more interesting. Very well, allow me to show you my true power. Half dimension. The world around them began to blur. Rius looked towards the school building. What is this power? She asked, not bothering to hide her awe. Issei had a blank look on his face as he analyzed the technique. Everything within the vicinity seemed to be getting halved. A truly frightening technique, that is if you weren't Issei. Reverse. As soon as he said that, everything seemed to be going back to normal, well except for Vali. The Hakuryuka was feeling some serious recoil effect from Issei's technique. His armor fell apart, leaving him writhing in pain on the floor where he had landed. Albion, he croaked out. Yes, I feel it. It seems like he temporarily reversed the effects of our technique, so the effect is what we're feeling. Interesting. Such power, I must fight him. Vali was in joy. On the other side, Issei's head felt like it was going to split. He held it in pain. He had never tried using Nyaman no Mukei Kotoba while sealing his power of. Now he knew. It hurt like a beach. He felt trickles of blood flow out from his ears. Sparing a look at the vanishing dragon, he saw that he was rolling in pain. His Kotoba was sure to keep him down for a while. The better the technique, the harder the pain. While not every technique was reversible, this one, which had no physical manifestation, was right up his alley. He picked himself up just in time to see Vali struggling to his feet. The devil was a bloody mess. What a day. I've already decided. Demonic energy gathered towards his arm. Let's see how you fare against this one, my friend. He rose his arm. This is your end dash. But he could do anything. His arm was frozen. The ice seemingly came out of nowhere. From behind Issei, a very set-off-looking Serafall stepped forward. So this is the vanishing dragon? Nei-sama. Sona, for the record, tried to remain calm. Sona, I'm so happy you called me Son. You never calls me. So when you did, I rushed over here as but first I have to take care of dash. Issei formed another three-dimensional object in between his hands, but this time it was a sphere. Red energy like powerful gust of wind began to form. The tendrils began creeping towards Vali, on all sides threatening to envelope him in a true death's embrace. Stay away from me, the struggling Vali yelled. Between the ice covering him arm and the creepy tendrils, he was in a tight spot, and he might just have been a little scared. Suddenly they launched forward, forming a spherical prison. It glowed once. The explosion rocked the school. The spectators, apart from Serafall, had very shocked faces on them. Even for sisters of well-respected individuals, a display like this was not frequent. Finally the shockwaves died down. Nothing remained apart from the scorched floor. Serafall watched in amazement and slight delight at what the boy had done. A true display of power. Slowly she approached him. Did you kill him? She asked tentatively. No, he escaped at the last second. My guess is that he used an emergency reverse summoning spell. Serafall's mouth formed an O. Slowly she brought her hands towards Issei's face, then pulled and pinched his cheeks lightly. Wani-sama. Sona complained somewhere in the background. Koi? Sarah's eyes sparkled. Issei was bemused. Cute. Sarah bobbed. She was clearly enjoying Issei's troubled face. I'm Serafall Citri. What's your name? Hi, Issei. Nice to meet you. Issei-kun? Call me Sarah-chun. All my friends call me that. Issei grinned at Sona's older sister. How he wished he had met someone like her in the earlier years of his life. All right, Sarah-chun. She grinned. Thank you for saving my sister and her friends. Don't misunderstand. I only did it for two people here. One been your sister because she's my friend. The other is a favor someone asked of me. I won't bear to look at him if his daughter got hurt. Sarah looked at him puzzled. All right then. I'm still grateful. Stop at my sister's place sometime, I'll be in town for a while, alright Issei-kun? He nodded, giving the Citri devil a smile. He quickly retrieved Kokabiel's past. Outbody, Zenovia, let's head home, I need to drop this off before I make dinner. The blue-haired girl, still in shock like the others, nodded quickly, gathering her friend who had passed out sometime during the madness, and following Issei, they both teleported with a crimson magic circle. The ORC and SC were in shock. Too many things had happened within a short PRD of time: Excaliburs, Kokabiel, the Hakuyaku, and of course Hyoudou Issei. Fufufu, you kids finally see real power and this is how you react? Drake mocked from his confines. Hey, stupid dragon, shut up, those guys were monsters. No, he's right, Suji-kun, this is how we fight. This is why you aren't yet ready to go into the world. While it's true that Rius and Sona are strong for their age, you still have a long way before Sirzechs, and I can trust you to properly take care of yourselves, Serafall said in a rare moment of seriousness. The magical girl is right, Drake added. Now, you idiot host, you need to get stronger, I want to fight that person. What? Chorused from the devils. Don't think I'm some battle maniac like my rival's host, I merely wish to confirm something, and it is quite obvious that as you are now, Hyoudou Issei could eliminate you, so partner, you will get stronger until you can stand in his presence. And then the dragon receded. Hey Drake, you stupid dragon, you can't give me orders, I'm not fighting that monster. Drake, answer me, damn it. So Tan. Of course. Two figures had watched the proceedings, one with something close to a pleased smirk, and the other trembling slightly. Such power, Raynare whispered, more terrified than when Kokabiel threw one of his fits. Maybe I should stop yelling at him every opportunity one gets, she thought. Then she felt someone pull her, the main reason she was here in the first place, the Infinity Dragon God. My Issei is strong, is he not? Yes, she stuttered under the piercing gray eyes of the humanoid dragon. Ophis' mini smile broadened. Yes, he is wonderful. That is why he is mine. Come, we have to look for donuts. Donuts? Yes, tonight's meal shall be donuts. Issei always says I have to eat 3 times daily. Such terrifying people, how did I ever end up in this mess, thought the fallen angel as she was again pulled away. A bloody body stumbled as the light from the magic circle disappeared. Vala's breathing was labored. He had seen techniques which was spiral waves of compressed energy, but never one that actually condenses around the target. He couldn't imagine the years of labor the brunette could have put into mastering that. Kakaka, will you look awful, a voice commented from the shadows. Vali only grinned. Biko, it doesn't matter how a man looks in this world, only that he finds happiness, and today I found my happiness. Biko shook his head as he approached Vala. Of course, well, let's get you cleaned up, we can't have our new recruit seeing you in such a sorry state. A small smile played on Vala's lips, then he was out as the exhaustion and blood loss finally caught up to him. That night, Suji looked out his bedroom window, towards the shining moon, not a care in the world about what puny beings such as himself did under its glow. A knock was heard at his door. Come in. A beautiful girl with dirty blonde hair which seemed almost brown and eyes which could best be described as aquamarine, and a very tempting figure walking into his room. This was his half-sister, Shiroi. Shiroi, what do you want? He asked plainly. I just thought you might be thinking of what happened today and might not be able to get some sleep, she said. I'm fine. You know, if you want to ascend to the top you'd have to beat guys like that. She paused. I don't want you to fight people like them. We don't need a devil clan in our name. Please, Suji, you must reconsider after everything that has happened, she was pleading now. No, I've already made up my mind to restore our clan to its former glory. Once I master my powers, I just need some more time, and I'll be able to stand on their level. If you have nothing else to say, I suggest you leave, he finished coolly. Silently, Shiroi left her brother's room. That night she would go into her room and practice with her powers till daybreak. Another day and another smile, because all should be well in the world. Azazel stared at the files in front of him. One was that of a complaint with a well-hidden treat from the one devil faction. Apparently Sirzechs hadn't taken too lightly the threat on his sister's life, and the other was from the church. They believed that he was holding the Excaliburs and Michael was requesting an audience with him. The governor sighed. Just another day in the office. He scanned the letter from Michael one more time. If he played his cards right, a truce could be formed. Yes, peace was what he needed right now. Maybe he could have his own little poop maker of his own when this was over. His face scrunched at the thought, not happening, and so he dug into the paperwork again. Fix it. Sona stared at her reflection in the mirror. Having just come out of the shower, she was still in the NDE. She ran her hands down the length of her body. Unlike most of her friends and family, she was rather petite. Her sister would constantly tease her that because when she was little she'd rather read a book than drink milk. She sighed. This date that Issei had arranged was putting more stress on her than standing before her parents. She took a glance at her clock. She still had a little about 2 hours before the time of the date. No harm in getting ready early. Fix it. It was about 10 minutes before the appointed time when Sona arrived at the meeting location, only to find Issei already waiting, and here she thought she'd be able to get some few minutes alone to calm herself. Cautiously she approached him. Issei sat on a bench next to the statue which marked where his date was to start in about 10 minutes. He recognized Sona come into his vicinity, and sure enough there she was, even receiving appreciative stares from the surrounding males. Her face showed her unease and Issei gave her a smile. "You're here early," she said when she finally got to him. He shook his head. The boy is meant to arrive before his date, that's just how it works. He stood. "Shall we?" The young devil gave him a nod, and so began the first date of Sona Citri's life. Fix it. True to Issei's words about not knowing the town very well, they got lost a few times and Sona had to retrace their steps. Sona, though, didn't mind the awkward development as she confirmed that talking to Issei was a rather different experience. His eyes gave nothing, his posture was firm, and he moved with effortless grace. For someone who had come to be known as a pervert, Hyoudou Issei seemed like the perfect gentleman. "You should stop that, we're on a date, not an observation mission," he told her. And so, she resigned herself to verbal contact. It was good enough. Fix it. She looked fearfully at the contraption. A roller coaster. Her sister had always tried getting her on one but never could. She won't admit it, but she was secretly scared of it. She had faced life or death situations, but this put her on edge. So embarrassing. Her date grinned at her as he pulled her rigid body through the checkpoint. Fix it. She wanted to laugh. It was stupid. She gripped the arms of her chair as she tried to maintain her composure. Beside her, Issei took another handful of popcorn. They were currently watching a movie. For whatever odd reason, Issei wanted to see a movie that involved humans using magic. In her eyes, their feeble attempts to replicate the reality which she saw every day was laughable. Her date snapped his fingers. The light chatter that seemed to fill the room died down. Looking at her surroundings, she noticed that everyone seemed to have fallen asleep. She gave Issei a questioning look. "I wanted to hear you laugh," was his short reply. "And so she did." Fix it. Issei grabbed another book as he flipped through the pages and read the back. Numerous manga books were lined all over the wall. Sona had never been in this kind of place. From time to time she would see members of her peerage reading the picture books, but she never bothered. During a conversation it had slipped that she had never read a manga. Her date looked horrified. In a few minutes she found herself in a store with a lot of manga. He immediately began to dump various titles in her hand. She desperately tried to tell him that she wouldn't have time to read them. Eventually she persuaded him to get her only 2 with the promise of purchasing more in the next month. She had to resign her to the fact that this was the way he cared. Fix it. Sona yet again found herself in another troubling predicament. Apparently karaoke was something people did on date. She was quite surprised to find out that Issei could sing. He had a very nice baritone voice. But the horrors came to when it was her turn, and Ei would not take a no. And so she sang. When she was done, Issei was silent, looking at her with wide eyes. She blushed under his gaze. He jumped to his feet and gave loud applauses. For the next hour or so Issei turned her into his very own radio, occasionally joining her, and for one love song which after she coincidentally lost her voice. Fix it. For her first date, Sona rather enjoyed the experience. Maybe she had grown accustomed to the familiar presence of Tsubaki by her side. She was happy that she didn't tell her parents about this little event. Issei was someone who she didn't need to keep up appearances for. After he pressed her, she finally told him of her dream, to build a school in the underworld which could also accommodate the non-high-class society. She half expected him to laugh or call it far-fetched, but he didn't. But what she got were just words of encouragement and a promise to lend help. As they walked down the street to get a drink, She slipped her hand into his. They were warm. Hoa. Issei stretched his arms, his joints audibly cracking. That was fun. Silently Sona agreed. She always expected something to happen that will completely ruin her first date, but it had gone relatively smoothly, though she was sure it was just because it was Issei. So, Kaicho, did you have fun? The brunette asked expectantly. Sona sipped her drink a little. It was all right, she said flatly. Issei's smile faltered. Sona grinned. I'm just kidding, it was rather enjoyable. Issei slumped in his chair. Kaisha Somin, he took a sip of his drink. All right, 3 questions. Question mark. I know you've been dying to ask me ever since my appearance at Kuo, so this is your chance. Any 3 questions, he explained. Sona took a deep breath. She was definitely not going to waste this opportunity. Calm down, Sona. Okay, then first, who or what are you? She said, looking him straight in the eye. Curious, aren't we? He asked. You did say I could ask anything. Guilty as charged. Would it be cheating if I told you I didn't know what I am? She gave him a look that clearly said, you won't dare. Fine, fine. A wild smile played on his lips. I am a dragon. For a few seconds she just looked at him, then she took a sip of her strawberry shake. Maybe she was expecting him to say something along those lines. However, I don't believe you. And why is that? Issei asked her. Dragons have a very distinct aura. Due to past incidents, the leading clans make it a necessity for the heir to be able to identify other species. That is in fact how I found Saji, and also how Rius found Suji. Saying you're a dragon is a high claim, and frankly I don't see any proof. Issei looked like he was about to burst out laughing, but he managed to hold it in. You're pretty good, but I really didn't expect you to buy it. He folded his arms. However, I won't say it's a complete lie. By all means I am a dragon, or I mean to be 1 inch. How so? She asked, clearly puzzled. Sona, do you know how dragons are formed? She looked thoughtful. I read that they are formed from large masses of energy. The specifics are unknown. Issei nodded. True, when a large mass of energy accumulates, it usually forms a sort of cocoon, much like when a butterfly is going through its metamorphosis, and it would most likely remain undisturbed for a certain amount of time, which after a dragon emerges. That sounds rather simple for such majestic creatures, Sona replied, clearly skeptical of the information. He grinned. I know, right? But what does this have to do with you? Good question. If a dragon is disturbed before it emerges, it usually dies. But dragons are natural, just masses of energy, accumulated from an area, but imagine if a source of energy far greater than itself appeared nearby. In theory it would be absorbed. True and false, when a dragon undergoes metamorphosis, it is in a vegetable state, leaving its shell would result in almost certain death. Almost. The brunette pointed towards his chest. But you can say that I'm one of a kind, the extremely lucky one that broke out of his shell prematurely but didn't die. Frankly, I'm not sure why though. The only reason Sona was calm was because of the years of practice, but inside she was admittedly losing it. So you're saying that for some reason you were meant to be a dragon, but during your birth you ran away. Bingo, a large smile lit his face. I find it hard to believe there can be a source of energy that would attract a dragon. Of course, it's very uncommon, but it does happen. For instance, let's say situation where the geography of a planet is being remade. Don't you think that would require a lot of power? She puzzled over it, then it clicked. That happened ages ago. I guess I'm just that old. Even if I was to believe you, you clearly don't look like a dragon. You're a tough one. When I came to this world it was the time when there were only heroes, magician, and a lot of cannon fodder. Due to not having completed my transformation, I was merely an astral being, wandering across the land. Oh, and did I mention the world was in chaos? It was wars here and there and everywhere. It was literally the bloodiest war to date. After a while my dragon instincts matured, and I decided I wanted to build an empire with a foundation of dead bodies. I was going to stand at the top and destroy anyone who dared oppose me, and with the help of a magician I gained a body, but his eyes seemed to glaze over. Sorry, I don't like talking about that time. Understandable, but if you have lived for how long you say, won't there be records of your existence? Issei's face immediately brightened up. There is, but it's just one, and I doubt anyone would be able to find it. The truth is that I've not been in this world for long. Sometimes I hop in to see GR or Office, but I pretty much stay in other worlds. Other worlds? Yes. Other worlds. That is what I said. I see. What in the world are they talking about? Don't bother, even if I told you, you still won't understand. I'm pretty sure I would, she retorted. He leaned forward in his chair. Many people have tried to understand, and many have tried to cross the void, but most either run mad or die. Only sentinels can comprehend this knowledge. Sentinel? Beings that inhabit the void, that call the void their home. In this world a very good example would be dragons. Not all though, and maybe a few gods too, but I'm not sure about that. Sona could feel a migraine. This is impossible. You're telling me that there are other worlds out there, possibly governed by magic. Yes, but like I said, you won't understand. The void is for Sentinel-class beings. If someone like you wanted to cross it, they would need Sentinel-class being accompanying them. He paused. I should probably wipe your memory now. Wait. My Wani-sama has entered the void. Is she a Sentinel too? Not even close. She might have merely entered the void with no intention of using it for travel or the likes. Besides, even if she did stay long, she would be left wandering for a long time, with the possibility of eternity. I'm guessing you're a Sentinel-class being then. Sure am. Then would you take me to another world? Sorry, but I can't do that. But you just said dash. I know what I said. As you know, I couldn't even kill the vanishing dragon. My strength is more than a little depleted. Let's just say, I was gravely wounded. She wasn't buying it. I sort of got into a fight with this group that wanted to challenge Jir. They did a number on me, and so I've been recuperating for a while. You look perfectly fine to me. Trust me, if I was all right, that white guy won't have escaped from me. He studied her. You still don't believe me, do you? Would you believe someone if they told you they were a possible mutant humanoid dragon that has seen pretty much every war recorded in history, and also going to other worlds and fighting creatures dumb enough to challenge the apocalypse dragon? I would. Believe me, there are a lot of bizarre stuff out there, and as for challenging GR, there are a lot of others that do it. Heck, I've done, although it didn't end well. You see, Sona, the dragon known to you as the apocalypse dragon might be the strongest being you known to me. I'd put him somewhere at 5 to 7, and those are just the ones that I know. There are others out there, and there are some sentinels out there that just hearing about them is enough to send you running to the opposite side of the endless void. Sona shook her drink, realizing it was empty. What have I gotten myself into? She said under her breath. A lot, actually. Most people don't know even a fraction of what I just told you. Even the Crimson Red does not know about this. Seeing her distraught expression, he snapped his fingers. I have an idea. I might not have the strength to take you to another world, but I do have my pocket dimension. Some beast I've conquered are there. She looked doubtful. Really, Sona, you need to have more faith in me. He grabbed her hand and they were gone. Sona saw colors, a lot of colors that seemed to mix into white to fade into black. She wanted to touch. Don't try that. If you let go of me, you'd be turned into dust. She gulped. Not an interesting proposition. Finally, a certain amount of time she wasn't sure about, they seemed to land. Your brain couldn't comprehend what you saw, so I'm sure you must have been seeing a lot of colors, he said. She flushed a little. Don't worry, it was the same for me when I started too. Oh, so where are we? Issei land, he replied cheerfully. She rolled her eyes as she gained her bearings. What? I haven't bothered naming it. They seemed to be in a dense forest. The sky above was bright, but somehow she knew there was no sun there. The trees also looked a little too big, and indeed it looked like a habitat for monsters. Issei stretched. I do feel a little better here. Since it's my world, I can heal a lot faster here just by being here. At that moment, a dragon-like figure seemed to soar overhead. She involuntarily inched closer to the brunette. No one's going to hurt us. It's my world, remember. Some may be hostile, but most would ignore us, well you. She nodded but still stuck close. Let's go. Over the next to what felt like Sona hours, they traveled Issei land. He explained to her that they were not actually trapped here, but rather they were his allies that just decide to drop in from time to time. Most came back because they were simply too curious to Issei's nature. She was even more shocked to find out that the apocalypse dragon visited this world sometimes. Then they stumbled upon what seemed to be a temporary shelter. A beautiful woman emerged from it. She waved at them. Issei waved back. Then the woman seemed to notice Sona. With a simple gesture, She motioned for the young devil to come. Unconsciously Sona started to approach the woman. She vaguely heard Issei say something. Careful! It was already too late when Sona realized her body was frozen on the spot, unable to move, even her mouth. The strange girl approached her. She had light purple hair which seemed to reflect the non-existent sunlight, and glassy turquoise eyes. Her curves were not hidden by the light blue dress she wore. Perfectly manicured nails reached up to Sona's face as the 18 to 19-year-old looking girl spoke. Such a pretty little thing. Did my darling stuck you too? She asked the immobile girl. That's enough, see. Darling, you're home, she said as she jumped towards the brunette, ignoring her captive. At that moment Sona regained control of her body. Alsie had her arms around Issei's neck and the brunette seemed to be trying to push her off, but to no avail. Nice to see you too, see. She turned back to the unfamiliar face. Have you charmed another woman, my love? You know how jealous I get, she whispered into his ear. Firstly, there isn't anything going on between us, and second, I have done no such thing. She is just a friend that I'm having fun with. For a moment she looked sad, and the young Citri felt bad for her. Sona just wanted to hold her. Alsie cut it out, Issei reprimanded. To answer Sona's confused look, Issei explained. She was controlling you. She has power to tap into the emotions of people in her range and heighten them. You might have felt a little pity for her. She could have easily multiplied that emotion, and once you've fallen, you'll become her puppet. She has other abilities too, but nothing very significant. Sona took a nervous glance at Alsie. A terrifying ability. She realized just how close she might have come to becoming a puppet. You're no fun when you're grounded. Turning her gaze back to Sona. I approve of your new consort. I've seen her type, a sturdy-looking emotional wall, but once you hit the right buttons it crumbles like mud. A feral grin spread on her face. Isn't that right, my dear Sona Citri? Issei hit her head lightly. You must forgive her, Sona. She gets a little chatty when she's bored. No, it's all right. This just proves I still have work to do. If I could be bypassed that easily, it shows my weakness. I thank you, Alsie-san. Issei, I like this one, Alsie said in the brunette's mind. I should tell you that no amount of training will prepare you to face my technique. I have been alive to centuries. I've seen them all. I've polished my skill to match the best of the best, and I am quite proud of myself. What makes you think you could escape me if I truly came after you? I don't know if I could, but I would know if I don't at least try. This is a challenge I don't plan on backing down from. Alsie had a large grin on her face. Slowly she made her way towards the younger girl. You're interesting. I think I like you. She paused. Very well, Issei. You don't mind if I stick with your latest exploit, do you? I do mind, he replied immediately. But, Issei could practically feel the strings pulling at this mind. Sona cleared her throat. What is going on? She wants to follow you back to your world. I cannot imagine the chaos that would come out of this, especially since Ophis is currently there. Nope, no way, Issei said as he crossed his arms over his chest. But master, I would play nice, honest. Now she was playing innocent. I see. If she does follow me, would I gain any benefits from this? No dash. Of course, I would help you fortify your defenses. I would also help you train, because frankly, your current abilities are a disgrace to Issei-sama's status, a hard blow. Sona bit down on her lips. She wasn't the strongest out there, but no one had ever told her that sort of thing to her face. She was even hailed as one of the rookie four, but within these short hours with Issei, she was slowly accepting the fact that all of that doesn't matter. Issei hit Alsie again on the head. You went too far. No, it's all right. In fact, I accept. I would take on any challenge you have store for me. Good. On one condition though, Issei interrupted. You will serve the role of a familiar. You will come only when called, and for your stay Sona would be your acting master. Agreed or no deal? Issei is scared that I would express my love for him. Fine, we have a deal. But you should know that I only play by my own rules. And that is what I am scared of. She giggled. She then gripped Sona's hand. A light traveled onto her forehand as it formed a pattern. When it dying down, the intricate design seemed to have been tattooed onto her forearm. With this, you would always know where I am, and just a little extra something, my darling would always know where you are, so that in case I do something out of bounds you can contact him. She turned toward Issei. Acceptable? He merely buried his face in his hands. Fine, you win this round. Arigato Ayasisama. We've already spent a lot of time here as it is, we should be heading back. The female nodded their head in agreement, and they were soon gone. They reappeared in an alley. Sona blinked to refocus. She noticed Alsie was missing. I'm still here, Sona-chan, but you see he won't allow me to wander the street without your permission. Oh, all right then. She's cooperating for now at least, Issei mumbled, still feeling a sense of dread. He sighed, what a day, haven't been there in a while. It was a nice place, Sona agreed. That was my world, of my design, so I'm flattered. I still have 2 questions left. No way, I already told you more than enough, he said as he folded his arms. This time I'll let it slide. I hope you won't go crazy after this. Some people have been known to go crazy after they comprehend their insignificance. I assure you, I won't. I was just thinking that it would be fun to be able to transverse the void. It is, he agreed, but you're not nearly as strong enough. If you try it now, you would either be turned to dust or be left wandering the void until something puts you out of your misery. Then I'll just have to get stronger. Do you really think you can? When I put my mind to something, I never fail. Interesting. Ask Alsie for anything you need, so might be a little odd and a calamity queen dash. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Alsie whined. But I can personally testify to her strength, he finished. Well then, goodbye Sona, I'll see you sometime soon. Goodbye, said both females. Good night, he replied. He disappeared in a flash of crimson light. When Sona finally got home, she was faced with yet another problem, but this one came in form of her sister. Sanea, it's not fair, why didn't you tell me you were going on a date with Ireina? Serafall whined. Because Wani-sama, you would have tried to do something that I don't want to think about. So how was it? It was different. Oh, details, Soten details, give your Wani-san details. I would do no such thing, besides I'm very tired right now. Can you please tell Tsubaki that I would be arriving late tomorrow? Serafall had a thoughtful look on her face as her sister left. Sona never goes late for anything, she gasped. Quickly she ran after her. So, you could just tell me that you did that with Issei and I would understand. Silence, then a loud shriek was heard from above the staircase. We did not do that. And then a door slammed loudly. Sona lay in her bed, her face tinged red. Thoughts began to form in her head. She buried her face in the sheets. Baka Wanizama. In an alternate space, Alsie's lips curved into a smile. Issei, on the other hand, just arrived in his current residence. Yawning, he removed his shoes. I'm home. He didn't get any answer, but floating in the center of the living room was the infinite dragon god in all her glory, fixing him with a glare. Office, I'm sorry I forgot to make dinner. Did you eat something? The boy asked innocently. She was silent. Oh, I didn't really plan to take her there, it just sort of happened. Fine. I'll make it up to you. She smiled, the dark energy rolling her. Issei widened his eyes as a shield came up blocking the incoming energy snake, and again, that night Issei was reminded of just how possessive Office could be.